All right, guys, welcome to our first Fitness Friday. Today, we're just going to go through a very quick stretching routine that you can do at home. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes. None of these should cause any hip pain. If they do, please don't keep doing it. Just stop and skip to the next one, or feel free to reach out and let us know what's going on so we can help you make it more comfortable. Each of these exercises you want to do for 2 or 3 rounds of about 30 seconds. I'm going to demonstrate a little bit shorter holds on here, but at home, that's kind of how you want to do it, okay? So the first stretch is going to be for your hip rotation. You're going to move your feet out to the side, okay? And depending how flexible you are, you may be able to go farther. For someone with stiff hips like myself, it's not very far. And you're going to pull your knees inward. You should feel a stretch in the front of the hips. And again, it should not be painful. Okay, hold that for 30 seconds, and then you can move on to your next stretch, which is another hip rotation stretch. Okay, the beginner version of this stretch is the other foot is on the ground, and then your foot is on top of your knee. You can give yourself a light push to hopefully get a stretch on the outside of the hip. If you don't feel much of a stretch here, feel free to lift your other leg up and pull this knee towards your chest. At this point, again, you should get a nice stretch here on the outside of your hip, and you want to hold this for about 30 seconds. Okay? After you go through your laying down stretches, you're going to come up on one knee. If you do have painful knees or it doesn't feel good to kneel on the ground, feel free to use a pillow under your bottom knee. You're going to get the other leg out in front. You don't want your knee to go over your front toe. Okay, make sure your torso is upright, and you're going to actually tilt your pelvis so your low back is nice and flat. You don't want to arch through your lower back. That'll actually decrease the stretch on your hip. And then you're just going to lean forward until you feel a nice gentle stretch in the front of your hip, and hold that for about 30 seconds. Okay, and then you switch sides and do the same thing. Again, if you need a pillow on the ground, that often is more comfortable if you do have a painful knee. And there should not be any pain. You should get a nice stretch in the front of your hip. Okay? Once you get through that, you can come up onto a chair for your next one, and you're going to cross one foot over your other knee and try to sit up nice and tall. Again, this should give you a good stretch on the outside of the hip and no pain. If you're getting any pinching or pain in the front of the hip, what you can do is lift your knee up a little bit higher or sit back in the seat. If you can't do those comfortably, don't worry about it. You can skip over this stretch. Again, you're going to hold this for about 30 seconds and then switch sides. Okay, the last stretch we're going to do today is going to be a standing hip flexor stretch. So you can do this with a coffee table, a chair, or just your couch. You're going to get your foot up on top of the chair, point your toe on the ground straight at the surface, and you're going to lean forward until you get a stretch right in the front of the hip. Again, don't arch your lower back. Try to keep it nice and flat so you aren't straining that unnecessarily. Okay? You're going to hold it for 30 seconds, 2 or 3 times, and then switch sides. All of this should take about 5 to 10 minutes, and typically afterwards your hips are going to feel a lot more mobile, and it'll be easier to move around, squat, walk, all of that good stuff. That's our first Fitness Friday. Thanks for your guys' time.